Y'all sit down and get comfortable, because I promise you, you are not going to want to miss this one. Promise you. Okay, there was this big advertising mill type law firm that wanted to fire one of their clients. They wanted to go off of representing them. And to do that, you have to file a motion to be relieved with the court. And they did that. And that is when they fucked around. Because when this man filed his response to their motion, that is when they found out. And now you're about to too. So this man had a mediation scheduled to try and resolve his case. Now, the first problem is that they gave him the wrong address to the mediator's office. That's the first problem. But he still managed to get there at 10:02. Now, the lawyer at 10:35 was not there. When the mediator came out and saw he wasn't there, he went back into his office and came back 10 minutes later and says, your lawyer's going to appear by Zoom. That doesn't really happen. You're all supposed to be in the same place or all by Zoom. Either way, okay, you can't make it in time, we got you. Then they showed the Zoom camera, and he comes into the Zoom drinking a beer. He's drinking a beer at 10:30 in the morning on Zoom in a mediation. You might be thinking, oh my God, but hold on, that ain't all, okay? So at some point during the mediation, he gets up to go and talk to somebody off camera. And when he stood up, ain't got no pants on, no pants on. We're not done. He comes back into the mediation and he sits down behind his desk, props his feet up on the desk, one over here and one over here, with his no pants on. No pants, flashing everybody and their mama, anybody who's looking, anybody who walks in. Everybody. I would love to see video from this. Yeah. Now after this, my boy decides to get a little more comfortable. His name's Chase Coble, by the way. He decides to get a little more comfortable. So he leans back in his chair, puts his feet down, and next thing you know, the man is out cold. He is passed out. Now, if you're going to drink at 10 o'clock in the morning, you best be sure you can handle your alcohol. Or was he continuing the party from last night instead of starting the new party? I don't know. All I know, he's passed out during the middle of a mediation with beer on his desk in his underwear. Nice. So when he wakes up from his beer coma, my dude just turns off the Zoom, just disappears from the mediation. So they called him, and in his slurred speech that I can't even pretend to mimic, he says, I'm going to go do the Zoom in my car. And the client says, you're going to do a Zoom from your car? And he goes, yeah, you're right. That's probably not a good idea. I don't know if he thought he had to drive there and realized that he shouldn't be driving, but yeah, that's probably not a good idea. So after he said that, the client looks at the mediator and says, hey, he's been drinking. I don't want to do this anymore. But he forgot to hit the mute button on his phone, so Mr. Coble heard him say that. Now, you would think he would deny. No, but he's so drunk. He goes, yeah, you're right, bro. I've had a couple beers this morning. So after he leaves, this guy calls the managing partner of the law firm, or at least tries to. It took him 2 days to get in touch with him. But it's important to know that this lawyer that they sent to handle this mediation had never seen his file before. Not until that morning when he was already fucked up as a billy goat. He'd never even looked at it. Sometimes how these mill firms work, okay? Either way, my guy tells this guy when he finally does get in touch with him, look, the guy was hammered, and I don't want to file a grievance complaint on anybody because I don't want to ruin the kid's life, but I don't know what to do at this point. There was a $100,000 offer on the table at the mediation. I think I'm personally entitled to $50,000. $50,000 to settle the accident claim and also to deal with the trauma of dealing with that guy's bullshit, okay? I'm entitled. So the man says, well, we'll think about it and I'll get back in touch with you. But when he does get back in touch with him, he says in an email, we view your request for compensation in exchange for not filing an ODC complaint to be blackmail. And therefore, we don't feel like we can adequately represent you anymore. We're going to move to be relieved on your case. And that is what started this whole filing. They're going to move to dump his ass like he's the one who did something wrong. And they admitted that they knew this guy had a drinking problem. So in his response to this motion to be relieved, the guy lays everything out in an open court filing for all of us to see and says, I absolutely object to you being relieved from my case. And that is very smart, because a lot of people at this point would say, why would you move to be relieved instead of keeping that shit under your hat? Cover it up, bury it, pay the man the money, and let him go on about his business. But the issue is that if he stays, they're going to have to pay him that $50,000. And this is where the greed comes in, because If they get off the case, there's a $100,000 offer on there, and they're entitled to $30,000, $33,000 out of that minimum if they settle the case. They can put a lien on it. If somebody else takes the case, they're still entitled to the money that they got put on the table for him. So they can shaft his ass and tell him, "Not go fuck yourself. We're entitled to $40,000, $33,000, whatever they charge. We're entitled to that money, and you can do whatever you want with the rest of them. See them, but somebody else will handle your case," which nobody else will handle his case, because the amount of return after having to do all the work that they've already done is just not there. So I hope that you're not relieved in this case, Anastapula Law Firm.